What a wonderful history we have here in Richardson, Texas. We're going to be building on these assets that have been given to us. You know, we're migrating from being a suburban environment to an urban environment, one that's leveraging off the transit-oriented development. We're going to have continued success here in Richardson, and I want to thank the thousands of volunteers that have helped the Richardson Chamber and this city be what it can be.
Named for railroad contractor E.H. Richardson, who built the rail line from Dallas to Denison in the 1870s, the town led a quiet existence with a small rural population well into the 20th century. The population swelled to 700 in the early 1940s, and Richardson boasted 35 businesses. But it was following World War II that Richardson would really begin to see a population increase. Civic leaders Clifford Huffines and Charles Boyle led the effort to better prepare for that expected growth. On February 28, 1946, the Richardson Chamber of Commerce was founded, and in April of that year, a charter was granted by the state of Texas. Richardson and its newly formed Chamber of Commerce were open for business.
We didn't have much industry, although in the late 50s we had TI and Collins Radio, and when Central Expressway was extended out into Richardson, things began to take off.
In the next few years, the Chamber established programs like the New Teacher's Luncheon, helped organize the Richardson Symphony Orchestra, and for the first time, building a real home for the Chamber.
Our goal at the Chamber was to be the catalyst that brought everybody together for the good of the community and for economic development purposes.
There was no question that in the late 70s and early 80s, Richardson was becoming a very attractive location for businesses and residents. Rockwell broke ground on the Ritter Road site in 1978, and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas expanded to over 320,000 square feet on Spring Valley. This was an explosive and important time in the city of Richardson.
We all worked real hard on Highway 190. That was a big issue and a big item for us, and there was a lot of politics involved.
The cities, the counties, the school district, landowners, DART, everybody worked together to formulate the plans for the 190 corridor, which in those days was a state highway.
The George Bush Turnpike would still be more than a decade away from completion, and the Chamber of Commerce would work diligently through that entire process.
The telecom corridor icon, which formulated during that time, a lot of national publicity, Nortel and MCI and many other companies moving to Richardson. All of that was a result of many, many partnerships that were put together to make Richardson a leader in the idea of telecom.
The City of Richardson and the Chamber of Commerce had always had a very strong and unique partnership, and that bond would become even more evident in the 90s as Richardson began to grow into its new branding.
We got things done. We got together and we'd call each other up and we'd make it happen. Earl would call me and say, Donna, I need you on this project, and I would show up. Or the hospital would call and say, Donna, we're having a fundraiser, can you come help us? And the Chamber made all that happen.
The Richardson Chamber of Commerce started a new venture called StarTech.
55 different venture capital companies have participated in funding those startup companies. I have no idea how many jobs we created. It's obviously a lot, but it's a great benefit to the community, to the telecom corridor, and to the tax base here in the area.
1998 had been a very successful year for the Chamber, and part of it was because of the growth of the technology companies in Richardson. I always jokingly say that it was kind of like we had the Midas touch, and everything that we touched turned to gold.
Business was great. We couldn't do anything wrong as a chamber. Everything seemed to be just coming up roses.
But the landscape was dominated by probably 20 large companies. Once some of the larger companies started experiencing severe employee layoffs, obviously we had a lot of vacant space. And so it really changed a little bit of the dynamic of the types of companies that we had, and that we started gaining more small to mid-sized companies.
In the early 2000 years, 2001, 2, and 3, I think we realized that we started to need to change some emphasis and make it a more balanced economy where it wasn't all focused on telecom, but we also had the other agencies, other businesses coming in.
The Chamber was coming into a new era. We were just coming out of an economic slump. The dot-com bust had busted, and we'd recovered from that.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday. RCC Chamber.
A happy anniversary, Richardson Chamber, and many, many strong years ahead of you.
Happy birthday, Richardson Chamber of Commerce.